Hey guys, Sam here. For this week's Stadia show, we're going to be talking about the top sales worth going after. And Daniel's going to talk about a few Stadia games he's been playing. We already made a video talking about the top pro games to claim this month, so we won't go into any more until they've added more games, and as of this time, they have yet to do so. We have a ton to talk about, so roll the intro. Stadia is a really great streaming service that opens up gaming for people that don't have actual console boxes, or even better, want to access AAA gaming on the go. For some people, games priced at $60 and above on the service are worth it. Not quite for us, so we're mostly going to be talking about the top 10 games, in no particular order, that you can get right away for under $30. If you have Stadia Pro, you can get an additional amount off that price, so we recommend getting Stadia Pro. Not only do you get the additional money off games, but you also get free games every month and free game trials. This past weekend they did PGA Tour 2K21. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably one of the best installments of the Assassin's Creed series. Well, this and the most recent Valhalla are both quite good. The game features a large open world set in Greek mythology, between Athens and Sparta. You control either a male or female mercenary as they fight for both sides while trying to find their family. It's set in both the past and the present. The Assassin's Creed series is well known for doing this jump in the time in most of their games. At $30 for the Ultimate Edition, it is well worth your time and money. Up next, Borderlands 3. This series has been well known to be one of the best looter shooters out there. There's already a trilogy for this game, including Borderlands 1, 2, and the pre-sequel. But this one not only adds better graphics and gameplay, we remember them also claiming to have bazillions of guns and mayhem-fueled adventure. So it'll be interesting to blast through new worlds and enemies while discovering all types of guns that you can use. You can either play this game solo or with friends, but your main objective is to save your home from the most ruthless cult leaders in the galaxy. The game has always been pretty cool to look at with its cel-shaded approach, and this one is the best looking to date. At $19.79, it's a heck of a steal. Now, let's talk about Darksiders Genesis. The Darksiders series has always been made around a third person's perspective. This new one did something different because they created the whole world from the top-down perspective and made the gameplay more like Diablo, hack and slash. This one is considered to be a spin-off prequel in the Darksiders series. It introduces the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, Strife, as the protagonist. Strife can also team up with his brother War. This is definitely a game worth playing that received mostly positive reviews and is worth picking up at just $19.99. Doom Eternal is a game we recently reviewed here on the channel. It takes what the last iteration of Doom did back in 2016 and ramps it up to 100. It involves more platforming, more of a variety of enemies to slay, and more ways to slay them, while slightly improving the graphics with some enemies being a little more cartoony than the last Doom game. There is also much more of a story in this one than last one. Though the Doom series in general isn't known for the story, mostly gameplay, the story is worth paying attention to. Doom Eternal sells for $29.99 and is just at the max price we recommend buying it at. Far Cry 5. Now, Far Cry 5 is a game we've actually been playing, and we'll cover a lot more of it in the section of this show that Daniel is going to be doing. But at $17.95, it's the perfect time to get into it, considering that Part 6 of this game is just around the corner. Up next, Metro Exodus. Metro 2033 Redux and Metro Last Light Redux were both available to claim via Stadia Pro, and are games that are definitely worth playing if you're a fan of the first-person shooter genre. This iteration of the game blends deadly combat and stealth with exploration and even survival horror. The story involves you fleeing the shattered ruins of Moscow and embark on an epic continent-spanning journey across the post-apocalyptic Russia. The graphics are fantastic, and if you're a fan of post-apocalyptic stories, this one looks to be a good one to experience. Most importantly, at $15.99, it's amazingly worth it. Marvel's Avengers is a third-person action-adventure game that combines an original cinematic story with single-player and cooperative gameplay. In this game, you get to play as the entire cast of the Avengers team. Each have their own part in the storyline, and you get to use each of these characters' strengths and powers to get through the game. As fans of the Marvel Universe, it's an intriguing game, but it came out to some controversy, as some of the characters didn't sound like the Marvel Universe movies, and apparently the graphics weren't as good as many would have liked. If you're a fan of the Marvel Universe, you might want to give this one a try anyway, as it's the only modern Avengers game out there, and for just $23.99, it's worth giving a shot. OCTOPATH Traveler was a game that we reviewed on the Nintendo Switch a while back, and it was one of our games of the year at the time of its release. This is definitely a game for JRPG fans, as it has some of those JRPG tropes, such as a lot of story, excellent music, and great turn-based combat. The art style in this one is something that hadn't been done before, so it stood out a lot. It's a pixel-based art style that is at the same time in 3 dimensions, so you're traversing the world through the partial top-down view. The graphics and lighting are absolutely breathtaking, and you'll be in constant awe of how beautiful the game looks. The characters are also super lovable, and you'll learn a lot about them and their stories throughout the game. And at $29.99, it's definitely worth picking up. Now, Saints Row the Third Remastered. The Saints Row series has always been kind of a clone of the Grand Theft Auto series. This game in particular, though, in its remastered form, is transformed into quite the beautiful world to explore. While this game is filled with complete and utter chaos and absolute silliness, the graphics and gameplay still have a serious tone to them, and it's a perfect blend of goofiness and action. This version of the game gives you a control of the Saints at the height of their power, and you live the life to show for it. You go on crazy missions like taking a tank skydiving, calling in a satellite-targeted airstrike on a Mexican wrestling gang, or fighting against highly trained military force by your lonesome. This one is definitely worth playing at $23.99. And lastly, Dirt 5. We recently talked about this game on our Game Pass show, but as we know, Stadia is the superior streaming technology. So if you're going to play this game, I suggest you play it here. It's a great off-road racing sim with a star-studded career, 4-player split screen, innovative online modes, live editor, and more. You have access to a ton of different cars with a variety of upgrades and customizations. At just $24, this one is also a heck of a deal. But be aware that these deals won't last forever, so definitely jump on these as soon as the video is finished if you're interested in any of the deals you heard about here today.
And now, the moment where Daniel comes out and sings a silly song. Or I just talk about my first impressions of the games I've been playing. Either way, let's get into it. First, NBA 2K21. This one is the one I've probably played the most because I freaking love basketball and my Chicago Bulls aren't in the playoffs, but it's also a game with most issues out of all the ones I'll talk about. When it comes to shooting, passing, dribbling, there's a slight delay, but it's barely noticeable. The tough part is when you play defense. Your player's going to slide around a lot, and when you're playing one-on-one to the point where it's noticeable, but it's not completely detrimental to the game. I find that if you play defense off the ball, it's much easier to manage, so that's what's gotten me a few wins. Is it the ideal way to play the 2K series? No, probably not, but it's definitely playable, and the graphics are really pretty. Now, let's talk about Far Cry 5. This is a game that I picked up because I want to be ready for when Far Cry 6 comes out. This one has been amazing and it plays really well on Stadia. I seriously have no performance complaints. Also, the characters are really complex, interesting, and the world is vast and has tons of areas to explore. I usually just play this one for like 1 or 2 missions every night, but it's really hard to get in and out of this world because the game just draws you in. One of the coolest parts that I've found so far is that you can just go around riding all types of vehicles, everything from 4x4s to motorcycles to cars to trucks and even planes. It's insanely awesome. The gunplay is also pretty cool, so I'm having a blast so far. And I'm only a few hours in, so there's a ton to explore. Resident Evil Número 7. This one is the one I picked up because I've never played it. I actually watched the whole thing on YouTube when it came out, and I know it's probably the best horror game ever made. but I was too much of a chicken to play it. Well, the game is free with Pro, so I decided to give it a try. It plays amazingly well on Stadia, guys. It's also really scary, and despite me knowing where the jump scares are, it still scares the bejesus out of me. I'm at the part right now where they force me to eat this nasty looking crab, and I'm trying to escape the dad and open the hatch, but he keeps on catching me. It's a little crazy, but hopefully I can get past it soon. Now, the last one that I've been playing is Little Nightmares, which is also available via Pro. Now, this one right here plays really well with touchscreen controls. I think it's because it's just slow enough to work. As you guys know, I'm really into the horror genre, so this is a game that's right up in my alley. Right now I'm in this one part where I have to go under the floorboards to get past this blind monster guy. I've gotten to the place where there are a bunch of books and he keeps on grabbing me. I'll get through it eventually. I'm having a ton of fun with this one, so hopefully I finish it soon so we can talk about it more. Alright, that's all for me, guys.
Alright guys, thanks for joining Daniel and I on this latest episode. Let us know which of these games you like best in the comments below, or if you're currently playing any of these, let's talk about them in the comments. You can also take the conversation even further on our Discord server. Information will be in the video description. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like these, and lastly, check out our Twitter account for gameplay of the latest releases. Most importantly, remember to always stay one up.